The rain poured down hard over Torrance that October night, painting the city in streaks of neon and shadow. Inside a sleek black sedan parked across from the Opera House, Dominic Russo sat behind the wheel, his fingers drumming on the steering wheel. At 38, the man who once ruled the city's underworld now stared through the windshield, questioning why he'd even agreed to this meeting. He was a name people whispered when the lights were low, a man who built an empire from cold logic and ruthless precision. Yet tonight, under the relentless rain, he felt something unfamiliar creeping in. Weariness. Suddenly, the passenger door swung open. A woman stumbled inside, drenched, trembling, clutching a bundle tight to her chest. Water dripped from her hair, streaking down her pale face. "Please," she gasped, her voice trembling with desperation. "Please, can I hide in your car?" "Just for a minute, please!" Dominic's instincts flared. His right hand slipped toward the gun holstered beneath his jacket, until his eyes caught what she was holding. A baby no older than a few months, wrapped in soaked blankets. The tiny thing whimpered softly, unaware of the storm raging outside and inside the car. "Lock the doors," the woman begged, voice cracking. "Please, just lock them." Dominic pressed the lock button, the soft click echoing through the tense silence. Moments later, a figure appeared on the rain-slick street. Tall, broad-shouldered, his movements sharp and deliberate, scanning the darkness like a hunter. The woman ducked, clutching the baby tighter. Dominic's tone was calm, almost commanding. "Stay down." Something in his voice, that quiet authority, made her obey instantly. The man outside stopped, muttered a curse, then continued down the street, fading into the storm. Dominic waited, eyes fixed on the mirror, until the silhouette vanished around the corner. "He's gone," he said quietly. The woman slowly lifted her head, her whole body trembling now that the danger had passed. Her face came into view, a bruise blooming along her cheekbone, a split lip, fear swimming behind her eyes. She looked like someone who'd been running for a long time. "Thank you," she whispered, voice raw. "I'm sorry for barging in like that. I didn't know where else to go." Dominic's gaze softened, though he said nothing. "Who was that man?" he finally asked. She swallowed hard. "My ex," she said, glancing down at the baby. "My daughter's father. He's been looking for us ever since I left. 3 months ago, right after Emma was born." "I've been staying with a friend," she said quietly, still catching her breath. "But he found me tonight. I had to run." Dominic glanced toward the rain-soaked street. "Where were you going?" "I don't know," she whispered, shaking her head. "Anywhere. I just had to get Emma away from him." For a moment, Dominic hesitated. Every instinct told him to send her away, call the police, drop her at a shelter, do anything except get involved. But something in her trembling voice, in the way she shielded that child, made him pause. "I'm Dominic," he said finally. "Sophia," she replied softly. "And this is Emma." He nodded toward the bruise on her face. "Are you hurt besides that?" Sophia gave a tired, bitter smile. "Not this time. He didn't get close enough, but he'll keep looking. He always does." Dominic took a slow breath, his decision already forming before he could talk himself out of it. "I know a place where you can stay. Somewhere safe. Somewhere he'll never find you." Her eyes widened. "I don't have any money. I can't pay you. I'm not asking for money." Sophia studied him carefully, fear and disbelief flickering across her face. "Then why?" she whispered. "Why would you help me? You don't even know me." He met her gaze, his voice low but steady. "Because I know what it's like to be hunted, and because no child should grow up in fear." He shifted the car into gear. "Trust me or don't, but if you want real safety, come with me now." Sophia hesitated only a moment before nodding. Dominic drove through the storm-slick streets, headlights slicing through sheets of rain. They reached a tall, nondescript building on the city's edge, plain enough to be invisible, but fortified better than most government sites. Dominic owned it outright, a place for people who needed to disappear. "This is one of my properties," he said as they pulled into the underground garage. "The sixth-floor apartment's empty." "You can stay there." Sophia turned to him, wary. "Who are you?" "Someone who can keep you safe," he replied simply. He led her upstairs to a modern, fully furnished apartment. Everything was spotless, stocked, and quiet. Sophia looked around, stunned. "I don't understand. Why would you have a place like this just sitting empty?" "I use it sometimes," Dominic said. "For business?" She pressed. He hesitated, then nodded once. Something like that. She wandered through the space, the kitchen full of food, a small bedroom with clothes folded neatly, and even a nursery soft and warm, complete with diapers and formula. "There's a nursery," she murmured, eyes wide. "The previous tenant had a child," he said. Sophia turned to face him, clutching Emma close. "Who are you really, Dominic?" He met her gaze without flinching. Someone who understands what it means to need protection. Over the next few days, Dominic found excuses to return. Groceries, baby supplies, repairs that didn't really need doing. He told himself it was just to make sure she was settling in. But the truth was harder to ignore. There was something about Sophia. Her quiet strength despite her fear, the fierce love in the way she held her daughter. Or maybe it was simply that Dominic Russo, the man everyone feared, had been alone for far too long, and for the first time in years, this place felt a little like coming home. "You don't have to keep checking on us, you know," Sophia said one evening, her voice soft but steady. She stood by the window, the city lights flickering across her face. "Emma and we're fine." Dominic leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "I just want to make sure you're safe." "I appreciate that," she said, turning to face him. "I really am grateful for everything you've done, Dominic." "But I need to ask." She hesitated, searching his eyes. "What do you want from me?" He frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, her tone guarded, "men don't help women like me for nothing." Not without wanting something in return. For a long moment, Dominic said nothing. The rain tapped faintly against the window, filling the silence between them. Finally, he exhaled and said quietly, "I want nothing from you, Sophia. I'm helping you because I can, because I should." He paused, his voice dropping to a low murmur. "Because someone should have helped my mother when I was a kid, and no one did." The confession slipped out before he could stop it. Sophia blinked, surprised. He looked away, his jaw tightening. "My father was a violent man. Made our lives hell until the day he drank himself to death. I was 10. By then, my mother was gone in every way that mattered. She died when I was 16. Sophia sat down slowly, her expression softening. "I'm so sorry, Dominic." "Don't be," he said, shaking his head. "It made me who I am." She studied him for a moment. "And who are you, really?" A small, humorless smile tugged at his lips. "Someone you should probably be afraid of. But I promise you this. I will never hurt you or your daughter, and I will never let anyone else hurt you either." 2 weeks later, that promise was tested. At 3 in the morning, Dominic's phone buzzed, an alert from his security team. Someone was trying to breach the building's entrance. Sophia's ex had found them. By the time Dominic arrived 15 minutes later, rain was pouring again, and the man was outside the main doors, pounding and shouting threats into the night. Dominic stepped out of his car, his movements calm, deliberate. "You need to leave," he said. The man turned, wild-eyed. "Who the hell are you? Where's Sophia? I know she's in there." "She's under my protection now," Dominic said evenly. "You won't see her again." The man let out a sharp laugh. "Your protection?" You think you scare me? I'll call the cops. She's got my kid. Dominic's expression didn't change. Call them, he said coldly, and I'll show them the hospital records from the night she came in with broken ribs. The police reports she filed, and the ones she dropped after you threatened her. The witnesses who saw you hit her in public? The man froze, his face paling. How do you— I know everything, Dominic cut in. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Your arrest record, the restraining orders, the debts, the people you owe money to, people who would be very interested to know where you are. He took a slow step closer. You have two choices, Dominic said. Walk away now and never look for Sophia again, or deal with consequences you can't begin to imagine. There was something in Dominic's eyes, something cold and final, that made the man realize this wasn't a bluff. You don't know who you're messing with, the man spat. Though his voice trembled, Dominic took a step closer, unflinching. Actually, I do, he said evenly. You're a coward who hits women and terrorizes his own child. And I'm someone who's ended men far more dangerous than you? The man froze, his breath hitching. Then he took a shaky step back. This isn't over, he hissed. Yes, it is, Dominic replied, his tone like ice. If I ever see you near Sophia or Emma again, you'll disappear, and no one will ever find you. Do you understand? The man hesitated for only a second before turning and running into the rain. Dominic stood there, watching him vanish into the darkness, until the street fell silent again. When he finally went upstairs, Sophia was already awake, clutching Emma tightly in her arms. Her eyes were wide, searching his face. He was here, wasn't he? Yes, Dominic said quietly. But he's gone now. And he won't be back. Sophia's voice shook. How can you be so sure? Because I made him understand what would happen if he tried. She studied him carefully. You're not just a businessman, are you? Dominic's lips curved in a faint, sad smile. No. Should I be afraid of you? She asked softly. He looked at her. This woman who had crashed into his life on a stormy night and reminded him what hope felt like. His voice softened. No, you should never be afraid of me. Sophia laid Emma gently in her crib, then turned back to him. Who are you really? He hesitated, then said quietly, My name is Dominic Russo. I run most of the organized operations in this city. People call me the Don. Sophia's breath caught. I'm not a good man, he continued, his tone heavy with truth. I've done things that would horrify you. She stepped closer, shaking her head. But you saved us. That doesn't make up for the rest, he said. Maybe not, she whispered. But it matters to me. She reached out and touched his face. A simple gesture, but it shattered something deep inside him. Years of walls, control, and cold distance cracked beneath that one touch. I should go, he murmured, though he didn't move. Dominic, she asked softly, why are you really helping us? He looked into her eyes, unguarded for the first time. Because the night you climbed into my car, terrified and holding your baby. You reminded me of my mother, and I thought maybe this is my chance to do what no one ever did for her. To actually save someone, Sophia's eyes glistened. You did save us. Not yet, he said. Not completely. Your ex was just one problem. There are others. And over the months that followed, Dominic made sure no shadow ever touched them again. He hired lawyers who secured Sophia full custody of Emma and restraining orders that actually meant something. He created a trust fund for Emma's future, found Sophia a job in one of his legitimate businesses, a position with flexible hours so she could still be with her daughter, and slowly, carefully, Dominic Russo, the man everyone feared, began to fall in love, not with the idea of saving someone, but with Sophia herself. It happened slowly, the way Dominic fell for her, with her quiet strength, her unshakable resilience, the way she rebuilt her life piece by piece. with how she laughed at Emma's babbling sounds, how she sang soft lullabies in the middle of the night. Sophia refused to let her past define her future, and somehow, in helping her heal, Dominic began to heal too. One evening, 6 months after that stormy night that had changed everything, Dominic stopped by as usual. Sophia opened the door with Emma balanced on her hip. The baby had grown, bright-eyed, curious, full of life. When she spotted Dominic, she squealed and reached for him immediately. It had become their little ritual. Dominic would take Emma while Sophia finished dinner. He'd hold her close, talk to her in that low, soothing voice, make her giggle until she hiccuped. And for a man who'd built his life on power and fear, those moments felt like something he'd never known before. Home. After Emma fell asleep, the two sat on the couch, soft light spilling through the room. "I need to tell you something," Sophia said quietly. Dominic glanced over. "What is it?" "I got a job offer," she said, forcing a smile. "In another city. Good salary, good benefits. A real fresh start." He nodded slowly, though something twisted deep in his chest. "That's good news, isn't it?" Sophia looked down at her hands. "It should be, but I don't want to go," his brow furrowed. "Why not?" Her eyes lifted to his. "Because everything I care about is here. Because Emma lights up when she sees you. Because I—" She stopped, her breath catching. "Because what?" he asked softly. Sophia's voice trembled. "Because I'm in love with you, Dominic Russo. I don't care what you've done or who you are in the rest of the world. I care about the man you are with me. With us." For a moment, Dominic said nothing. Then he reached for her hand. "I'm in love with you too," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have been for months. But Sophia, I'm not an easy man to love. My life, it's complicated. Sometimes dangerous? I know," she said. "And I don't care." "I don't know how to be what you need," he admitted. "I've never had a family. I don't know how to be a father. Or a partner." Sophia smiled gently. "Then we'll figure it out together." Dominic leaned in, and when he kissed her, it wasn't the kiss of a crime boss or a man hardened by the world. It was tender, reverent, full of everything he'd spent a lifetime denying himself. 2 years later, Dominic stood in the nursery of the home he'd bought for them. A real house, with a yard, a swing set. The scent of fresh paint and baby powder filled the air. Emma was 3 now, fearless, curious, full of questions. And Sophia was 7 months pregnant with their second child. Dominic looked around, still half disbelieving this life was his. "Daddy, come play!" Emma called from downstairs, her little voice bright with laughter. That word, "daddy," still caught him by surprise every time. As he walked down the stairs, he thought back to that rainy night. The desperate knock on his car door. The woman who had crashed into his life and unknowingly shattered every wall he had built. She had shown him something he thought he'd lost forever. That even a man like him could be saved. Sophia met him at the bottom of the stairs, glowing, smiling softly. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For being the man who stopped that night. For helping when you didn't have to. For giving us this life." She touched his chest gently. "You saved me too, Dominic. I was just existing before you. Now I'm living." They walked into the living room where Emma was stacking blocks, giggling when they toppled over. Dominic watched her, his daughter, and felt something bloom inside him he'd never known before. This was his family. Not the one he'd been born into, but the one he had chosen. The one that had chosen him back. And as the afternoon sunlight poured through the windows, Dominic Russo, the man the city once feared, felt something he had never truly felt before.